If you are dreaming of a Loire Valley chateau that combines elegance, romance, beautiful gardens, and a touch of childhood nostalgia, Cheverny may be the castle you did not know you needed. This graceful chateau inspired Marlinspike Hall, the famous home of Captain Haddock in the Tintin stories. But Cheverny is much more than a fun literary connection. It has the symmetry of a fairy tale drawing, the interiors of a noble family home, 6 gardens for slow romantic walks, and a peaceful atmosphere that feels polished, intimate, and personal at the same time. When we visited just after Easter, the chateau was welcoming spring with eggs, rabbits, flowers, and charming seasonal decorations. It made the visit feel even warmer, almost like stepping into a beautifully decorated country home in the Loire Valley. So if you love romantic places with history, beauty, and a little storybook magic, let's discover why Château de Cheverny may deserve a place in your Loire Valley itinerary. To understand why Cheverny feels so different from many other castles in the Loire Valley, you need to experience it in 3 layers. First, the exterior, elegant, balanced, and almost perfectly symmetrical. Then the interiors, richly furnished and still full of life. And finally, the gardens and park, the part of the visit where everything becomes slower, softer, and even more romantic. From the outside, Cheverny does not try to overwhelm you like Chambord. And it does not have the dramatic river setting of Chenonceau. Its charm is more discreet. The chateau stands with a calm confidence made of pale stone with clean lines, harmonious proportions, and a facade that almost feels like a fairy tale drawing. It is the kind of place where you do not feel overwhelmed by grandeur. You feel invited in. And this is one of the reasons Cheverny is such a lovely stop for couples. It feels elegant, but not cold, refined, but not distant. Some castles are impressive because they make you feel small. Cheverny is beautiful because it makes you want to come closer. The current chateau was built in the 17th century by Henri Hureau and Marguerite Gaillard de la Morinière, and the history of Cheverny describes it beautifully as a marvel born of love. That detail alone gives the place a more personal feeling. Their initials, H and M, can still be found in different parts of the chateau and the orangery. So as you walk through Cheverny, you are not only looking at architecture, you are also seeing small traces of the couple behind this elegant home. Because Cheverny is not only about power, status, or royal history, it also carries the feeling of a family home, built, decorated, protected, and passed down through generations. The estate has belonged to the Hureau de Vibray family for more than 6 centuries. This family was connected to French kings and high political life, and unlike many castles that became only museums, Cheverny is still inhabited today. The owners live in the right wing of the chateau. That is part of what makes the place feel alive. You do not have the impression that everything ended centuries ago. The chateau still has a present life. It is still cared for. It changes with the seasons and welcomes visitors into rooms that feel warm and furnished, not empty or abandoned. Cheverny also has connections to some of the most fascinating names in French history. For a short time in the 16th century, the estate belonged to Diane de Poitiers, the famous favorite of King Henry II. If you are visiting several castles in the Loire Valley, her name appears again and again. She is especially connected to Chenonceau, and her story is full of beauty, influence, rivalry, and court politics. So, even though her time at Cheverny was not the central chapter of the chateau's history, it connects this place to the wider drama of the Loire Valley. The Loire castles are not just stone buildings. They are a map of relationships, royal favors, family ambitions, political decisions, and powerful women who shaped history from behind palace doors. Another fun royal detail is connected to Henry IV. He is remembered as the only king of France to have slept at Cheverny in the old castle. Today, his bed is displayed in the king's bedroom. It is the kind of detail that makes a visit more memorable, especially if you enjoy small stories rather than only big dates. Because sometimes the best travel memories are not the most important historical facts. They are the little things you discover as you walk from room to room. A bed connected to a king, a monogram hidden in the decoration, a seasonal table filled with flowers, a chateau that suddenly reminds you of a comic book from childhood. And yes, Cheverny has that completely different kind of fame too. If the chateau looks familiar, there may be a reason. Cheverny inspired Marlinspike Hall, the famous home of Captain Haddock in the Tintin stories. Hergé kept the elegant central part of the chateau and removed the two wings when creating the fictional castle. Even if you are not a Tintin fan, this adds a playful layer to the visit. It reminds you that some places are so visually perfect, they do not only belong to history, they also become part of imagination. And if you grew up with Tintin, or if your partner did, this can become one of those sweet, unexpected moments during the trip. You arrive thinking you are visiting a French chateau, and then suddenly you are also standing in front of a place that inspired a fictional world. After admiring the exterior, the interiors are where Cheverny becomes even more intimate. Inside, it feels less like an empty monument and more like a refined, noble family home. The rooms are richly furnished with tapestries, elegant furniture, fireplaces, painted ceilings, and decorative details that make you want to slow down. This is one of the great highlights of Cheverny. Some Loire castles impress you mostly from the outside. Cheverny continues to impress once you step inside because the rooms are warm, decorated, and full of atmosphere. You can imagine dinners, conversations, guests arriving, family life, and quiet evenings in front of the fire. This visit does not feel only educational, it feels emotional. You are not just looking at old objects, you are walking through rooms that still carry a sense of private life and French art de vivre. There is also a softness in the interiors that makes Cheverny different from more dramatic castles. The rooms do not feel like they are trying to intimidate you. They feel carefully arranged, elegant, and lived in. You notice the dining room, the table settings, the old furniture, the tapestries, the fireplaces, the small decorative details that make each room feel personal. When we visited just after Easter, the interiors felt even more charming. The chateau was welcoming spring with eggs, rabbits, flowers, and seasonal decorations. These details softened the formal rooms and made them feel warmer, almost playful. It was elegant but not stiff, beautiful but still joyful, historical but not frozen. And this seasonal atmosphere is one of the reasons Cheverny can be so rewarding. The chateau often changes with the time of year, and these decorations can completely transform the mood of the visit. In spring, it feels fresh and romantic. Around Easter, it becomes playful and charming. At Christmas, it must feel completely different again, probably more magical and festive. This is why Cheverny is not a castle you experience only through architecture. You experience it through atmosphere. And for couples, atmosphere is everything. After the interiors, do not leave too quickly. Cheverny is not only a castle visit, it is also a garden and park experience. The estate has a large park and 6 themed gardens, and this is where the visit becomes slower and more romantic. You can walk through formal garden lines, flower spaces, orchard-inspired areas, sculptures, quiet paths, and views back toward the chateau. And because the castle itself is so balanced and elegant, every view from the gardens feels beautifully framed. This is one of the best parts of visiting Cheverny as a couple. You do not have to rush from one monument to the next. You can simply walk, stop for photos, look back at the chateau from different angles, enjoy the flowers, the quiet paths, and the seasonal displays. When we visited in spring, this part of Cheverny felt especially lovely. The flowers, the Easter decorations, and the monumental flower displays made the estate feel festive and alive. It had that feeling you sometimes get in the Loire Valley, where history and nature meet in a very soft way. The chateau gives you the elegance. The gardens give you the pause, and together they create a visit that feels calm, romantic, and easy to enjoy. For couples, this is the part where you should slow down. Enjoy the feeling of being in a place that is elegant, peaceful, and a little bit magical. There is also a larger natural side to Cheverny. The forested park covers more than 100 hectares, and part of it can be discovered on a guided visit by electric boat and buggy, including the canal and wooded areas. It sounds like one of the most peaceful and original ways to see another side of the estate, especially for couples who want a slower experience away from the busiest areas. So Cheverny is not only about history, it's about atmosphere. The pale symmetrical facade, the richly furnished rooms, the story of families, kings, and powerful women, the Tintin connection, the gardens, the seasonal decorations, and that rare feeling that the chateau is still alive. For couples planning a Loire Valley itinerary, it may be one of the most graceful, charming, and quietly romantic stops. Now, before you add Cheverny to your itinerary, there are a few practical tips that can help you enjoy the visit much more. The first tip is to check the event calendar before you go. You usually do not need a reservation for a standard visit, but Cheverny often has seasonal decorations, exhibitions, and special events. And this can really change the experience. We visited just after Easter, and the rooms were decorated with eggs, rabbits, flowers, and spring details. It made the whole visit feel warmer, more romantic, and more memorable. So before you go, check what is happening during your travel dates. For a romantic trip, these details matter, because sometimes it is not just the castle itself that makes a visit special, it is the timing. The second tip is to reserve the forest and canal tour as soon as you arrive. This is the one thing we would do differently. Cheverny has a guided visit through the forest and along the canal by electric vehicle and electric boat. It is one of the most peaceful parts of the estate, and for couples, it sounds like a beautiful way to see a quieter side of the chateau. But the slots can fill up, or the next available time may be much later. We missed it because we checked too late. The next tour would have meant waiting around 2 more hours, and we would have missed the equestrian show at Chambord. So reserve your slot for the park guided tour first, reserve your slot, and then plan the rest of your visit around it. The third tip is to give Cheverny enough time, but do not overpack the day. Cheverny is close to Chambord and Blois, so it is tempting to combine several castles in one day. That can work, but only if you're realistic. If you want to enjoy the chateau, the gardens, the seasonal displays, and possibly the forest and canal tour, give Cheverny at least half a day, and still might not be enough. The fourth tip is to plan a good meal. A romantic castle day should not be only about the visit itself. It should also include a slow lunch, good French food, local wine, and a beautiful setting. You can eat at Cheverny if you have time, or choose a traditional French restaurant nearby. For something more special, you can also look at restaurants listed in the Michelin Guide around Cheverny. And honestly, if you love French food, this is part of the pleasure of visiting the Loire Valley. A castle in the morning, a slow lunch, a glass of local wine, a garden walk in the afternoon. This is the kind of rhythm that makes the trip feel romantic, not exhausting. The fifth tip is to choose accommodation that keeps the romance of the trip alive. You can choose to stay at Cheverny or another castle. Anyway, choose a place that fits the mood of the Loire Valley. a charming guest house, a chateau hotel, a quiet village stay, or a place with views toward the Loire. We stayed in Blois somewhere with views toward the Loire, and it was a great idea. After a day of castles, gardens, and old villages, coming back to a peaceful place near the river made the whole trip feel more romantic. This is something many people forget when planning. The experience does not end when you leave the castle. Where you sleep, where you eat, what you see in the evening, and how slowly you allow the day to unfold. All of these things become part of the same memory. Cheverny is not the loudest chateau in the Loire Valley, but it has something very special. It has elegance. It has intimacy. It has beautiful rooms, romantic gardens, seasonal charm, and a sense that the chateau is still alive. And sometimes on a couple's trip, that is exactly what you need. A place to enjoy, where you can slow down, walk together, notice the details, and feel for a moment that history has become gentle. That is the charm of Cheverny. And that is why, if you are planning a romantic Loire Valley itinerary, this chateau deserves a place on your list.